So if you're an imbecile that's watching me that doesn't agree with what I'm doing, my only simple question to you is this: what normal person listens to a broadcast of someone that they don't agree with? I mean, how many people actually watch a TV station or TV show of that you don't like? How many people tune into a TV show that they don't like? How many people listen to somebody if they don't agree with them? How many people do that? Only trollers and people that don't have a life, that are being paid to do this. So if you're a troll, get a life and get off here. It doesn't matter. I mean, you can look at on my YouTube channel and you can see that 97 to 99% of the people give thumbs up and only 1 to 3% give the thumbs down. Well, okay, sometimes people may disagree with me, but pretty much that 1%, these are trolls. They have nothing else to do. They're being paid to create this misinformation campaign. So anyway, this isn't a thing about right and left. It has nothing to do with that. That is a true statement. This is more to do with atrocities that are being committed, and the vast majority of the public does not know what's happening. They have no inclination to what the truth is. They have no awareness of how many people are being injured. They have no idea what the truth really is. So if you want to get a history of where the United States was and how the United States has come through this process, I would encourage you to look at and listen to one of my all-time favorite politicians who I wished had become president, and that is a gentleman by the name of Ron Paul. And Dr. Ron Paul, he's a family physician and was a member of Congress for 30 plus years. I don't know how many people know this, but the Senate and the House of Representatives have a very special healthcare plan, which is different than the rest of the American citizens. And that plan allows for all sorts of things to be covered that normal citizens don't have covered in their health plan. Well, Dr. Ron Paul felt that that was not right, that all these House members and senators would get special treatment for health insurance, and refused throughout his entire tenure as a House member, refused to partake in that health insurance plan. That's the type of integrity this man has. Dr. Paul has said for years and years and years that the United States has no business being in these other countries. And when people talk about how everybody hates Americans because we love freedom and they don't, I cannot believe that anybody of a reasonable intellect could even believe that type of horse manure. The reason a lot of people hate Americans is because we're the only nation that takes a crap on their front yards. We have bases, 763 bases last time I checked, in other nations. We take a crap on everybody else's front yard every day. Wouldn't you be angry if somebody was taking a crap on your front yard? That's why they hate Americans. It's not because we love freedom and they don't. They love freedom too. They love freedom as much as we love freedom. But if you're going to buy into the propaganda of these politicians and these liars that start to give us this kind of garbage, and then people are amazed and say, what? Why are we hated? We're hated because we're taking a crap on their front yard. We have bases on their sovereign land, and we have no business doing that. And Dr. Ron Paul has said for years, we have no business being in these other nations. We need to worry about our own problems at home. But the United States has created more false flag events and created more chaos, and has been involved with more election rigging and toppling of governments than any other nation. Yes, Russia has been involved with that. Yes, China has been involved with it. Yes, that's true statements. But the United States has by far done more. And there was some specifics that were given how Russia had been in the last 40 years been involved with toppling 31 regimes throughout the world. But the United States had been responsible for over 80 of those regime changes. And you think that that's not true? Look at your history. If you believe that we have not been involved with any of these regime changes, then go back and drink your Kool-Aid and stick to watching Seinfeld reruns, which, by the way, Seinfeld is a great show. Go watch that for entertainment, because you're detached from reality. The reality is that we have, in the United States, in the name of God and country, committed heinous, heinous crimes. I'm telling you right now, I'm not just sitting here as a person just talking about this. I have been in the situation where I've had to take my U.S. flag off my uniform because it was on a Velcro. It was on a piece of Velcro. How many soldiers have their flag on their uniform in a Velcro? That's not common, but my uniform had my flag on with the Velcro back, as was required. How many people have been in a situation where you have to take off your dog tags and put them in a hat because, God forbid, U.S. forces couldn't be seen in those areas? If, God forbid, unforeseen circumstances were to occur, U.S. forces could not be acknowledged to have been in those areas. That's the type of situations. And I was involved with this kind of stuff because, hey, I'm part of, an elite force, and I'm gung-ho and full of piss and vinegar and, hooah all the way, God and country. And then afterwards, as I matured a little bit, and my friends, the same thing, we started wondering, what were we doing? I mean, there's something wrong if you cannot acknowledge your forces of your country, if your brethren being there with you. If one falls, they cannot be listed as a U.S. soldier that died on this ground. In fact, a lot of times we didn't even know where we were. We weren't even told for our own protection until that information wouldn't get out. So there's something wrong when you take off your dog tags and your American flag off your uniform so that U.S. forces can't be acknowledged in case something goes awry. There's a problem with that type of mindset, and it's been happening. And they get us when we're young and when we're gung-ho, and they mentally program you, thinking that you're doing this for country, God and country. And it's not. When you start, Hollywood has a lot of very interesting messages that they send us. So look at the born identity, and you start seeing, now whether or not that may be a little bit extreme, but the point is the same thing. People were being programmed. People have been programmed. I was programmed. I thought I was doing the right thing. And then later on, you start realizing, what the hell was I doing? Why was I doing that? What purpose do I have of doing this, being in this country and doing the things that I'm being told that I should be doing, but it doesn't make any sense. And if any of you saw that video that I did with Next News Network that went 9.1 million views in 6 days, I released some information. I said some things that I probably shouldn't have. They're all real and all true things. I even gave the name and the references of where those people were, and it all went back to the Gulf War and who was really responsible for setting those oil wells on fire, at least 300 of them. I happen to know who that person is, and he served in the U.S. military, and he told me himself that he and his team were responsible for it. It's that type of nonsense. Look at what happened with Benghazi. I mean, again, I'm just getting more and more angry now that I'm talking about this stuff, and that's not when you're broadcasting or when you're sitting on a live stream. Of course, I'm sitting in a kitchen right now in a kitchenette in a B&B talking to you guys. So this is not a real broadcast per se, but I'm sharing with you, and I'm getting upset and angry because I'm remembering all these things, and this is not something that anybody should have to deal with. No soldier should have to deal with the fact that they can't wear their nation's flag on their uniform, and they have to take off their dog tags because in case that they die, they can't be acknowledged to be in that country. That should never be the case, and yet it happens with Americans all the time. We have these problems happening all the time. So you want to study about Libya, what happened with Libya. You want to look at what happened with things like with Syria. I mean, let's just use Libya for an example. I remember, and some of you may remember, that during the Iran-Contra hearings in 1987, I was just starting medical school at that point, 1987. I graduated from college and I was starting medical school. And during those Nicaragua, all the things that were going on, I guess it was the Iran-Contra hearings, there was a person who still is on the media that you hear about every now and then, a Colonel Oliver North. And he was testifying, and they were asking him certain questions. And one of the questions that was posed to him, do you believe that is the most dangerous person on the planet? Now, Muammar Gaddafi was the leader of Libya. And I'm sure that most of you know this. And the Colonel Oliver North responded, "No, Senator, I do not." And the senator was amazed. He was like, "What? You don't think Gaddafi is the most dangerous person on the planet?" This is 1987. And Colonel Oliver North repeated, "No, Senator, I do not." And then the senator, in a very confused manner, asked Colonel North, "Well, who do you think is the most dangerous person on the planet right now?" And that was the first time that I heard, and that probably many people, first time they heard it, they may not have remembered it, but Colonel Oliver North's answer in 1987 was that the most dangerous man on the planet was none other than Osama bin Laden. So that's when it was first mentioned. Now people go, "Oh yeah, Osama bin Laden, he's the one who's responsible for blowing up the Twin Towers." No, that's not the reason he was considered the most dangerous. So let me drop some truth bombs on you here, not to steal the term from my friend Brad Lee, but I'm going to drop some things here so that you understand. The reason that Osama bin Laden was the most dangerous man, according to Colonel Oliver North, is because Osama bin Laden was, one, a very, very wealthy man. And when you're wealthy, you cannot be bought off like a lot of the politicians are. The second reason that he was so dangerous was because he was in Afghanistan. He's a Saudi, but he was in Afghanistan to fight the jihad. The jihad is what? The holy war. He was fighting for the freedom of the oppressed people of Afghanistan against the oppressors, which were the Russians. And so he's a very wealthy man, and he's there on the ground, boots on the ground, fighting side by side with the local Afghanis against the Russians. So what makes him so dangerous? Well, the United States, the CIA, was resisting Russia there. So we had footprint in Afghanistan as well. So in order to help Osama bin Laden fight the oppressors, the Russians, the CIA trained him and his men. So when the Russians left, because they realized there was a war they weren't going to win, they left, the Americans moved in. And when we moved in, we became the oppressors. Remember, Osama bin Laden's goal was to free the people of Afghanistan from the oppressors. He doesn't care if the oppressors are Russian or American or Chinese. He was trying to free the people. So when the Russians left, those oppressors left, they were replaced by the Americans, who were first allies of Osama bin Laden and helped train him and his people. But then when the Russians left and then the Americans took over, then the Americans became the oppressors. And so then Osama bin Laden fought against the Americans. Now, this is why he was considered the most dangerous, because we trained him ourselves and he couldn't be bought. That's why he was so dangerous. And just so you know, that when the Twin Towers went down and they attributed to Osama bin Laden, there was a video that was on YouTube that showed Osama bin Laden. The problem is they showed him talking, but he was speaking in Arabic, and they didn't translate it, because if you heard the Arabic, he says in there, I don't know who is responsible for these Twin Towers, but I'm glad that they attacked America. So they blamed everything on Osama bin Laden. He was happy that it happened, but he didn't do it. It had nothing to do with him. But he has been blamed. Again, these are parts of the narrative that the media has projected on us to let us go down a certain pathway. Because remember, he who controls the narrative dictates history. So they're trying to control the narrative by allowing us to only hear what they want us to hear, so that history is recorded a certain way that they want it to be recorded. But the truth is different.
And guys, you already know about the AHEAD map. You've already been on the Advanced Medicine platform. So you've gotten to see a lot of the resources, and you've gotten access to many things that many people would not have otherwise had access to. But now it's time for you to make a decision. And the decision is about the International Association for a Disease-Free World. Before I tell you more about that, there's a Map to Get Ahead program that allows you to experience improved sleep, increased energy, optimized bowel movements, while at the same time increasing your focus, your concentration, and your sense of well-being. And you can achieve all of this within 30 days by implementing 2 simple changes. Now, this program is valued at $2,658.55, but there's a way for you to get this program completely free. I'm sure the next question is how? If you join the International Association for a Disease-Free World, there are 2 things that'll happen. First of all, that's a $99 annual fee. But if you join right now, we will upgrade you to a lifetime membership, so you'll never have to pay another fee. But on top of that, you get the Map to Get Ahead program. So that's what you can do right now to join the IADFW, the International Association for a Disease-Free World. You may have a question asking, why would I want to join the International Association for a Disease-Free World? Well, it comes down to simply being able to receive information that has been uncensored, to actually be able to get the truth without somebody having to worry about what they're saying, how they're saying it, or how you receive it.